Hey, thanks everyone for coming along tonight. It's a good turnout. So I'd like to introduce Cathi Hargaden. Cathi is an internationally acclaimed expert in the ancient art of Feng Shui. Cathi has 20 years plus experience consulting and teaching and has worked with over 1,000 clients around the globe. Cathi's work has helped clients increase revenue, reduce stress, resolve conflicts, build health, and more. She is the host of the Feng Shui Mastery Show podcast. Cathi's expertise is right for audiences in the health, wealth, business, and personal development arenas. Her message of being aware of and modulating the energy of places and spaces we live and work in to assure health and good fortune is fresh and timely. So energy marketing, basically. And just to say that Cathi is about to launch a 7-day course, if anyone's interested, and she will put all the details in the group after the Telegram group. And there's also a free ebook that she's offering, which is, I believe, 25 years of knowledge and experience, so that's definitely worth getting. So I'm going to pass over to Cathi, and thank you, Cathi, for coming along tonight to talk to us.
Right, thanks very much, Karen, Sue, for allowing me to be here this evening. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. So yeah, my name's Cathi Hargaden, and just to follow on from what Karen was saying about the free ebook, it's really about aromatherapy in conjunction with Feng Shui. So I have got some slides this evening, but I would just like to introduce myself and say how I came to be in this field. And everything I've seemed to have done in life seems to have all come together like a patchwork quilt. Before I was doing Feng Shui, I'd been in radio journalism, and that took me to Canada for research and Nicaragua for kind of political reasons and educational reasons. And why I'm saying that is because I went from one environment which was very different to all these other environments. And even at a very early age, I noticed the difference between where I lived, and then I went to an inner city school in Liverpool. And then when I was 16, they took me out and they put me out in the suburbs in almost like a convent school. And for the first few months, I was gazing at the trees because I hadn't seen any, and definitely no cherry blossom trees. Now, I'm not saying that so, I'm from a deprived background, because I'm not. But what I'm trying to say is how environments affect us all the time. So I lived in the States, and I've lived in Greece, and I've had a house in Canada. So I can see how environments actually shift the furniture of our mindsets. And we have to be aware of how that's affecting us all the time. So I don't want to ramble on too much, other than to say that in this country alone, I've been in 11,000 homes, because I'm also an occupational therapist. So anybody who knows what an occupational therapist does, we go into hospitals, clinics, and homes purely for the health purposes. For me, I was adapting properties for people with various health needs and disabilities. But what that gave me, that experience, was an insight into all those homes and how people were operating from their base, so to speak, and how it aligned with the mindset that they were coming out with. And for example, I went to see one guy, and he had a wheelchair, and he couldn't move anywhere with the wheelchair because surrounding him, he had imprisoned himself with his toy trains and his not so favorable magazine, shall we say, and all his boxes. And he'd basically checkmated himself into a corner. And so this was a variation on many different people's homes where I saw the dynamics going on, and people were saying they were ill. But if you look at around them, there was a reason why they were ill, that there was an emotional disconnection between them and their environment. So that's the kind of background I come from. I have been in, I've lived in ghettos and I've lived in millionaire places. And it doesn't always sway that just because you live in a very lucrative area, that you're going to be necessarily any more healthier, because it all is the relationship between what's going on in the mind and what's going on outside. So, for example, in places in South Los Angeles and Beverly Hills, San Diego, they've got barbed wire all around them, as though they are the ones in prison. So what does that effect have on people? It's about, I want to be safe, I want to protect myself. Now, Feng Shui does offer the whole concept of protection. Every culture has a concept of protection. It's usually done through symbols. And I'll show you some pictures maybe later on that demonstrate that. So yes, protection is the first instinct in all of us, and we want to protect our homes. And so that is in Feng Shui. But let me go to the slides and I can start showing you that there are certain steps before you even get into Feng Shui that you would need to start looking at. And that requires everyone to take a good look at themselves. Sorry, there's no way of getting out of that. So let me share my there you go. So I'm really grateful for everyone to coming along tonight, and hopefully we're going to come up with some ideas of how to get started on making plans in your own property, wherever you are. It doesn't matter if you're in a caravan or in a mansion. I did a place in Monaco 2 years ago. The lady invited me into one of these very upmarket apartments, and she was eager for me to see, what does it say? What does it say? Now, I actually went to teach her something, so I couldn't give her the consultation, but everything was very metal. It was very white, and anything with a metal element and the color of too much white, it's all about the mind. So that's about people wanting to control, too much control. And Feng Shui is all about getting a balance. You need a little bit of the 5 elements in Feng Shui. Anybody know what those 5 elements are? Can shout, or can anyone shout out or unmute themselves if they know what those elements are? Nobody knows what the elements are.
Fire, metal, water, wood.
Yes, and earth, and fire. Yes, you said fire. Great, well done. So let me, okay. Now, how does this work that no, it's not letting me move on. Don't know why. Oh, hang on, let's do this. There. So this is the book that I've written, and it's about 7 days, but you could actually look at 7 steps to transform your life. And it really is a transformational book. I've had people come back to me and say it's changed their life, and it's just because they took some steps. And this is the key to your wealth, health, and love. These are all the areas that you could shift the energy within your own home or an office or where you are choosing to work at the moment. And the thing is that in order to actually get started, to get ahead, you have to get started. And so I don't want to put anybody off by, oh, where do I start? Where do I start? And one of the ways of getting started is making a little plan of your home or your room and just identifying where is the blockages in your home, where is the rubbish, where is the clutter. Go to your wardrobes, go to the drawers. And if ever there was a better time in the history of mankind to really change your environment, now is the time, because it's going to have a huge influence on how you think and what you're seeing and how you feel around you. You know yourself that when you've got lots of things, you know, that need to go out, or they've been hanging around, they don't serve a purpose at all, and they're not functional. I'm not saying you can't have anything aesthetically pleasing, because those aesthetically pleasing things actually are a relationship with your heart and your emotions. So there's no problem with that. But this journey really is about coding your home in a way where you're using those 5 elements and you're using the information to code what it is that you want in your life. Because if you step back enough in life, you can start to see patterns. I'm sure all the people tonight, if you look back at your life, there's patterns in them, and there will be patterns in the place that you live now, and cycles, you know, things have repeatedly happened. Or if you've moved into a new place, you'll start to see a few changes because the energy has shifted. What is that energy? Well, let's get started and find out. So Feng Shui is for everybody. I've made a list here. It's particularly helpful for people who are into property because they want to rent their property, which is what I do, or develop property. Anybody who's in business, and especially now, if you're running a business from home, and everybody in between, really. There were loads of people going off sick every year from work, and often it was to do with the fact that the environment was making them depressed. So if people invested in the environment, corporations, and some do, then they wouldn't have so many sick days. So just to say, I think I've said a bit about myself. Just a few other experiences I've had, many. But there was one time I was living in Manchester, my car was stolen. Well, it wasn't stolen. Somebody had gone into the back of it. The police came, and they came in to make a statement, and in the front room, and I had a lot of people previously been meditating in there. Now, these 2 policemen started asking these big spiritual questions like, what happens to us when we die? And I'm like, why are they asking this? And it shows me that when people are put into different environments, they start to change. They start to, and they didn't want to go. They were there for 3 hours. Now, if they should have only been there half an hour, but there was something there that was holding them. There was something there, and I wasn't serving them any tea or biscuits. So, you know, just these many examples I've had where, like, for example, on this picture here, this is an apartment in Windsor, and I rented it out on Airbnb, and I put in beautiful pictures. Yeah, I sure did. But I had people like directors from New York wanting to live there. So there's something about the balance, there's something about the colors that makes certain people want to be there. So we'll look at the colors if we get as far as the 5 elements. So what is Feng Shui? And maybe, you know, tonight is one of those special nights when it's the solstice, the longest day, and we've got Stonehenge, because Feng Shui is about energy, and it's not a recent phenomenon. It's a Chinese 4,000-year-old practice, along with the I Ching and Chinese medicine. So they use the 5 elements. Instead of using them in the body, they're using them in the environment. And it's a universal concept. We may call it Feng Shui from China. You can ask, the average Chinese person will know nothing about Feng Shui. It has some mystical superstition to it. And yes, they put out their red envelopes on New Year. But I've been into many Chinatowns, and none of them could answer any questions because they know very little about it. And that's because in the Cultural Revolution, and prior to that, that was all taken out of their culture, out of their history, ancestry. And this philosophy is similar to India. They have Vastu Shastra, and the two words mean wind and water. And so it's the wind, that invisibility. We can't see the wind, but we can see the effects of the wind. And if you think about your own homes, there will be rooms or spaces where there is something going on, but it's invisible. And later on, I've got a slide saying what creates an atmosphere. It's our energy, and it's what we think, what we say, and the vibration of our energy and the other people living there, even the pets. So in Feng Shui, the fundamental concept is of the 5 elements. Now you might think, well, what's that got to do with my space? Well, each of the 5 elements represent a color. They represent a philosophy. So for example, you might say, well, water has always been connected to wealth. So here's a tip to take home tonight. Put up a picture in the southeast with anything to do with water. Now, if you don't want a picture with water, anything that's blue, turquoise, aquamarine, this represents the wood and water element of that particular direction, which is the southeast. So that's just one tip. It's all about balance. So remember I said before about people who've got everything white, everything's white, and there's no accessory to take away that whiteness. And whilst it looks very nice, to live out of that all the time means that in Feng Shui, it means there's not a balance in the person. And I have seen this time and time again. So another example, I went to a very wealthy lecturer's house in Manchester suburb, and I went in and everything was white. Everything, there was not even coloured flowers. And when I suggested putting in a bit of pink, she was categorical no. And it was showing the control. There's a lot of control because the metal element, not water, but metal, is to do with the mind. So you'll see that in the last 20 years, we've all seen the onslaught of technology. That represents the metal element. And I would also like to add, maybe I don't want to complicate things, but besides Feng Shui being all about what you see and how you feel in your environment, there is also a timing to it. So it's fascinating. It's a fascinating subject. And what is energy? We look at ley lines, of which there's a ley line going through these Stonehenge stones. The Inca pyramids, they're all to do with, so a lot of the pyramids, there is a theory that they are all strategically put there to tap in to the astrology of the time in which they were being built. Of course, I know there's a lot of other theories around that. I've worked with people who have had their limbs amputated, and they talk to me about they can still feel their limb. It's the phantom limb. They can still feel it. So what is it in that person that makes them think they've still got a limb? So what I'm guessing at here is that it's also about perception. And I invite people to take back the perception of what they have around them and make it as though they are the queen of or king of their castle. I've done courses, online courses, for a lot of people in Australia, and half my audience were men, because increasingly more and more men are living on their own, and they don't know how. They haven't got a clue how to create the feminine in themselves. We need a bit of feminine and we need a bit of masculine, so that when we feel that balance, it communicates to us that we feel balanced and harmonious in our health, our wealth, and our relationships. I've had a guy come to me, he wanted a new relationship. And I said, well, what's in your garage? He said, oh, all my ex-wife stuff. I said, well, you're not moving on. You have to let go of that. So can you see how these kind of psychological blocks are often manifested in what is around us and how we live our lives? So the world of the invisible and visible. Every person from morning till evening is making invisible forms in space by what he says or she says. He is creating invisible vibrations around him, and so he is creating an atmosphere. So the mysticism of sound and music. So that's what you get with music. That's what we get with our own energy. I come on to it later, but Bruce Lipton, the famous Bruce Lipton, he has also now written a book, The Biology of Belief, scientifically saying that our health is being affected by the quality of our cells, our DNA cells. And our DNA cells are affected immediately by our environment. How did he know that? Because he took the cells, a certain set of cells, and he put them in different environments. And some thrived and some died. So what is in the environment that's not allowing you to thrive in the way that you would like to? So you've got all these big mega corporations. They've all used Feng Shui, or every one of them, because they understand the power. The Yellow Emperor, nobody was allowed to wear gold or yellow in China, none of the serfs. And if we look at all the major cities throughout the world, they've all been designed so that all the energy, so for example, Washington, DC, all the energy they've got roads all leading to one place. So all the people's energy is symbolic, of course, is leading to one entity, which is the seat of power. The same in Paris, the same, you've got the Royal Square, that's it, the Financial Square in London. So think of square. So the words of Feng Shui, the design of buildings, the design of cities, they're all done with a view to controlling the energy and the power base. So to some extent, we don't have any influence over that, but we do have influence over our own territory. And when you start to become stronger and fluent in supporting yourself in your own home by getting that balance and twinking your wealth area, turning up the volume on your health area, maybe even on your relationship area, then you're starting to take control and you learn how to put the codes in. It's a code. Everything in life is a code, even this computer. Okay, so I've gone from looking at this to looking at this. And my goodness, what a difference in emotion. What a difference in feeling. And places like this, you can maybe see the date, but these places still exist. There's parts of the city, there's parts of the country that still have not got over World War II. And then you've got people living in this, so they're not going to have the same mindsets. Of course, nature is always the healer. I won't read this, but basically these are the people who I worked with. This lady, we put this picture of an Aborigine woman on her wall, and within, I think, 6 months, she was working in the outback with the Aborigine clientele. This is one property that I rented out. It doesn't look like that now, it's changed. And this is the lady who rented it. And I won't bore you with it too much, but basically she's been a tenant there for 13 years. But she chose my house after 40 houses because why? Because she said she noticed the vibrant colors, lovely light, enhanced by hanging crystals, healthy plants inside and in the garden. The house had a character and was breathing and alive. So people take note of this. This is what people are making decisions on. should I live here? Should I leave here? Should I want to go there. There's a guy on YouTube called the Nomad Capitalist. He's great. And he says, I go where I feel best. And I think that's my kind of statement. Go and live or feel where you are treating yourself best. So why not design the life you wish for in your own home? Because it is all down to your mind. Your mind creates your world. So what we're doing in Feng Shui is we're actually looking around our home and we're putting a code in so that when we look to this corner or that area, nobody else needs to know. It can be secret. Some people teach it that it's a very obvious, but you can do it in a very secretive way. So these are the steps that I've written about and I put up on the course. So before you can even get into Feng Shui, put your hand up if you've got some clutter. That's not everyone. That's good. Some people have, some people haven't. Okay, so for those people who have, you can either draw a little plan and identify where that clutter is and start working on that area, because these are the things it's this process that will start to change your health. There's a huge amount of mental health issues going on. Even councils, housing associations, they are all stuck. They are stuck because they don't know what to do with all the people in their properties who are surrounded by an ocean of clutter. And it's impeding not only the person living there, but also the actual corporation or the private owner, because how do they dismantle that? So if they had some information and knowledge in the first place, they would be able to kind of help people before it gets too late. And that's the extreme side. But what about people who really are hanging on to things? Why are people hanging on? Now, it's good to have a little bit of ancestry in your house, but things that serve no function anymore, or they are just tripping you up, or they're just behind the door and you just don't want to get rid of them. I can guarantee that when you start decluttering your home, your health and your wealth will definitely change. I can guarantee that. So the next step would be space clearing, space cleansing. That should be space cleansing. So that's the next step. That's dealing with the invisible, that which we can feel but we can't see. Then the most important is inner Feng Shui. Has anybody heard of inner Feng Shui? No. So it's all very well changing, but are we just changing the deck, the chairs, the deck chairs on the Titanic? Because everything that we see around us has come from our minds, everything. And if it's not your mind, somebody created, these computers. Some have got PCs, some have got Apple Macs. Steve Jobs created this Apple Mac. It's his mind. That's the metal element. That's the creative side. But there's also, that's the yin side, but also it could be the yang side, which is destructive. So everything is a balance. So why I've introduced the inner Feng Shui is I do exercises to take people inside and just clear the shelves of their own minds. Do people get that? Let go. How do you let go? It's easy to throw things out, but how do you let go inside? And if you get time, I'll do a little bit of an exercise that you might get an idea of what I mean by that. The next step is balance and harmony with the 5 energies. So you need a little bit, and I'll show you, if I get that far, I'll show you that. Then there's the 9 areas of your life, which are on what's called a bagua. So there's 9 areas of your life that you can actually in your own home, you can put up a little message. Now, the message isn't a big letter, but it could be a word, or it could be something that's hidden. So, for example, I'll give you a tip. So, in the southeast, which is your wealth again, not everyone asks about the wealth. You know, you could put, you know, a little gold coin or a silver coin, and that's basically, and hide it. And that's basically reminding you that you want to attract the flow of wealth. You could also put a fountain in that area. Now, not everybody wants a fountain, but you could put up a picture of a fountain. So now you're not going to be sitting there looking at that picture all day, no. But what you're doing is you're putting up a pattern. So now it's like you can see things from a side view. You're not looking at it side on, front on. You're looking at it from the side. So it's resonating. All colors, all form is resonating. All sounds are resonating. And that's how they change your inner geometry. So that's just one little sample, is put some, and if you haven't got real gold or silver, then you know what I've done? I put, you can buy chocolate gold coins for £1 and hang them up. I mean, the mind doesn't really know the difference. It sees gold and it thinks gold, it thinks luxury, you know? So you can be as creative as you want. I can give you the tools and the creativity is all yours. Then coding your home with the best messages for you. So that's pretty much what I've just said. And then creating the best 5 energetic aromas using essential oils. So that's what the ebook is about that I'm going to give you. And it's about, because the oils have a vibration to them as well. So what you use when you walk into a place, I've had so many experiences where I had, you must think a lot of policemen come into my house, but somebody went into the back of my car many years ago, and the policeman came by into the flat actually to see me, and the first thing he said was, "What's that aroma?" And he didn't want to leave neither, because the aroma, the magic of the vibration of aroma. So all these energetic aspects have a frequency to them, and it's that Feng Shui gives you an opportunity to set up the best frequencies in your home, business, and general environments. So because not too many people said they haven't got that much clutter, I won't go into it too much, just to say that freedom comes when you learn to let go. And some people can identify with this. I mean, if I had an American audience, that everyone's got a garage there and they've just stuffed it. And so can you see that if people don't have any space on the outside, then they don't have any space on the inside. So if they want to move on in their life for a new relationship, for a new business idea, for new connections, they have to make the space inside. But if I said to Karen, right, Karen, I want you to create some space in your head now. How are you going to do it? Any ideas? No.
So what answer that?
Have you got any ideas?
Is that rhetorical?
I kind of thought you might actually have some ideas, but
yeah.
I mean, meditation is certainly one.
Meditation. Well, interestingly, just to input to that is, I'm definitely someone who always needs space. I've always been like that. So I can't think straight unless I have space. So I can't stand clutter.
Right.
And always need space, and I cannot just function unless there's space out here. So that's really interesting you say that. So yeah.
And it was kind of rhetorical, but I knew that you'd have an answer. But through meditation and space, if I say to people, I want you to de-stress now, I want you to do it now, or no. But when you start creating it on the outside, then it start reflecting back to you. You know, I've been into a lot of people's homes where, you know, I'll confess, as an occupational therapist, I've been in a lot of homes and I've come out and I've cried. I've come out and cried in the car because of the sadness. The sadness, I couldn't consume the sadness that I can feel in the house. And because people aren't aware of what the environment is doing to their kids, they end up injured. You know, that's just one example. And I've got so many examples of how people's health has deteriorated because they won't let go of their stuff. And it's not just at adults, but it does impact on the ability of the child. Like you've just said, Karen, you can't think straight. I think it sets up a certain reaction in kids when they don't have space. So that's just one example. So the clutter, yeah. So get your house in order. These are all photographs of a house I went over to in Ireland. The guy had been left a 6-bedroom rectory, and these are all his mother's stuff. The old sewing machine, everything, been there for 40, 50 years. I personally have also emptied a house out belonging to the family. I understand totally when people are letting go of some of their heirlooms or some of their treasured artifacts. They came to take we had a bureau when I was growing up. It was a beautiful wooden bureau. When the guy came to take it, I ran up the road crying. And so that's how we are so knitted to our items, because it's got full of memories. It's not always the item itself, it's the memories. So how do you start to detach yourself from this? And there is a process, and it is on that course. But rather than kind of do a whole hour of decluttering, I'd like you to just have a little bit more about Feng Shui. So yeah, you have to shift in your life. If you unclutter the mind, things start to flow and you get more control over your life. You gain more physical space so you can go forward with the dreams that you want, and you become more calm. And when you're calm, and when you're relaxed, and when you let go, and when you meditate, the magic starts to happen, because then you start to see the opportunities that were always there. A friend of mine, she did a course, I can't remember now, many years ago. She said, I decluttered my apartment, and then she said, I discovered my dreams amongst at the very bottom of all the clutter. And now she's gone on to do music writing and art. They were her dreams. So, and for business, it's a must. I mean, I can't tell you, if you've got a business and people walk into the space, if it's not conducive, people walk back out again. So this was an apartment in New York. Every tiny bit of space was taken. This person just lived out of this one room. And it was quite orderly, but these are the cramped conditions that many people across the world are living in. In Hong Kong, the elderly have to rent out a cage. It's a coffin cage made of metal, and they just sleep there as though they're in a coffin. I know it sounds horrific, but that is the reality in Hong Kong. So space cleansing is the next one. Now, what makes people sense that some places have a great feeling and they want to buy? I mean, what made you want to live where you are now? You know, was it something visually you saw, or was it something that you felt and you thought, no, this is it? And it's the 6th, 7th sense. And then there's other places, you know, I was in, it's interesting, I was in Santa Barbara 2 years ago, and we went around looking at multi-million-pound houses. And, you know, people think it's just the location, people think it's the price. But actually it's how it makes you feel that's so important, and what's around you. And Some were more appealing than others, despite the price. So everyone at some time sensed a feeling in a building. It was a bit eerie or suspicious. Anybody put your hand up? You felt that? A bit of eeriness. I know I had as a child. And one of the rooms up in the house I grew up in, didn't want to go in there. And it just needs cleansing, that's all. Something may have happened in there, who knows? Have you ever noticed that maybe at work, when we used to all be at work, that you have a headache and for no apparent reason? Well, I've been in a lot of lots of work because I was a locum occupational therapist, so I never had one permanent job. So I was in and out of offices all the time. So one of the many offices I went into, and one person would have a headache or one person would be depressed, and the next thing everybody would be. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. That's called pathogenic mass hysteria, where there is one person with their energy brings down everybody else. If they're not aware, if you're aware, then I think you can do something about that. Another place I went into, everyone was busy, and there in the center, the plants were dying. And it summed up the morale of the people working there. I'd only been there a week, and the boss said to me, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "Well, yeah," I said, I'm doing okay, but I think there's a lot of low morale amongst your staff." "Oh, is there? Really?" he said. And I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you think I should do?" I said, "I think you should call a meeting right away." Do you know what? 3 months later, no meeting. And it goes. So, ever heard of how some beds in hospitals are more vulnerable for people who are die there more than others? Ask any nurse or doctor that, mainly the nurses. So there is something about certain spots of energy, and how come some locations for business are very lucrative and others just fail. I don't know if you ever noticed before that what's happened on certain, in the high streets, the same shop never did well. Didn't matter what they were selling, they never thrived. And so there's something in the air, there's something in the space, something happens, something's unhappy. And how do you address that? And it's through space cleansing. So what is this feeling that fills our space? Well, Tesla, he said that if you want to understand the universe, well, I say, if you want to understand your life, or if you want to understand your home, your space, you've got to think energy, you've got to think frequency, you've got to think vibration. So what is it that's vibrating in your home? Is it the smell, the aroma? Is it the colors? Is it the picture? Is it the plants that they're thriving? Is the pet or the dogs or the fish, are they happy? And I mean, Einstein said, if you want to match the frequency of where you want to, how you want to feel, where you want to be, then you have to align yourself with that. And part of that alignment is around the environment. So you see, a lot of people can't just change themselves. Who can? It's very difficult. You know, how do I suddenly become, grounded? How do I suddenly become, fiery person? But what you can do is you can allow the messages on the outside to communicate to you on the inside, whatever it is that you want, so that you're setting yourself up for what your dreams are. And I came across a great quote the other day. It was saying, don't allow your dreams to affect whatever reality that you find yourself in, no matter what that reality is perceived to be. Stay in alignment and stay in vibration with your dreams. And one way of doing that is ensuring that you have the dreams in and around where you live. And the other one I do on that course is a Feng Shui vision board. So because I used to go to people's homes, if I was doing a Feng Shui consultation, I'd say, "What do you want?" I asked somebody else, "What do you want?" And they started crying. I said, "I don't know." So the vision board with the 5 elements and the 9 areas of your life, you put in each area, concretely, each area, what you want. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career, creativity, your inner peace. I don't think I have the box on here, but because I'm trying to give you 4,000 years worth of information and knowledge here without crushing it as well. So if wealth, success, and happiness are your goals, are you focusing on positive things, gratitudes, and things that you love? And one way of doing that, because we all go down, and with circumstances at the moment, it's so easy for our vibrational levels to plunder sometimes. But when you've got an environment around you that lifts you and brings you up, you look, it could be a phrase, it could be a word, it could be a picture, it could be a space, a special space you carve out for yourself. Then, you know, you can't go down to those depths because your environment is supporting you. So this is related to Bruce Lipton. The environment controls the fate of your cells. Now, of your cells and of yourself. Because up till now, we've always said, oh, you know, you've got the cancer gene, or you've got the lupus gene. Well, never before has a scientist come out. He is a scientist, and he's saying no. He's saying it is based on where your DNA. You've got your DNA, of course, but those DNA can change, and the cells that make up your DNA, based on, do you spend a lot of time in nature? What is there a conflict in the environment? That is going to have an impact on the DNA, the cells of who you are, and thereby affect your health. Having been in and seen so many people with, honestly, in dire circumstances. I myself have a disability, believe it or not, and I've had to look at me and where did my disability come from? And it all comes back down to the cells, the emotional trauma. And emotional traumas will be found or influenced by an environment that a child finds itself in. And that's my case. I know it's what's the word? Debatable. But when I read this book, it made me realize, and it's not like anything's bad. It's not like, oh, someone is a bad person because they're in a bad environment. The parents are always doing their best, and you can do your best for your child, no matter what place you're in. Because if there is the love, the care, and the fun, the magic, if you make magic and fun in the environment, then, you know, people will thrive. And I can't go too much on this, but I have done a lot of digging onto my own self, and that would be another, it would be another couple of hours, to be quite honest. And but it is, and it's not without tears, but wow, how amazing is it to discover that, you know, it's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. And it's not God-given. It's just a set of circumstances and a set of environments that's created at any point in time. And what's most important is how you react to it. And unfortunately, we all react. And often that is what causes the issues. We spend a lifetime then trying to find out, you know, not just what caused it, but our responses to it. So that's why environments are important, because if you've got something that's calming, then no matter what state you're in, at least you can be in a calming place, calming environment. So these are just some photographs I took of all different places I've been in. This is the prisons of the convicts that were sent to Tasmania, 1750s, 1800s. This is the slaves that were kept on the west coast of Africa in Zanzibar, Bangladesh, no, Mumbai. So these are all in effect prisons, and they all come with a set of geometries and a set of energies. And, you know, who would want that for themselves? But actually, many people are living that life within their own mind. And that's why I brought in the inner Feng Shui, is take your mind out of the prison that you've made for yourself inside. But that's the energy patterns that come from places like that. They're slow, very slow. Thoughts and sounds are crystallized. Now, people might be familiar with Dr. Emoto's work on water and moisture. Put your hand up if you know about Dr. Emoto. Yeah. So don't have to do too much explanation. But you see, water is in the atmosphere. So what energy you are giving out, it's being held. And it's being held in the moisture, and that creates patterns like these crystals. It's not just in test tubes, it's in the atmosphere. So that's why when you go into places, it does feel a certain way, because it's holding the geometry of certain people who lived there. Maybe they were killed or suicide or unhappy. And so there are many ways to get rid of that. And that's on the space cleansing side of things. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but it's been very relevant to what's been going on. But I don't want to get into that. All I'm saying is that what was used in these, do you see these beaks to protect people? This was a form of protection, was the herbs of marjoram and rosemary. And the people who actually survived the plague in the French, the plague in the 13th century in France were two people. One were the perfumerists, and two were the glovers. The people who made the gloves, the chamois leather gloves, when they put them on, what they did was they dipped them into the essential oils, the perfumers. And what those oils do is they go into the bloodstream. They're all antifungal, antimicrobial, they're not all, the certain ones, antiviral, and a few others. But basically, they're the people who survived. So people have done all kinds historically to protect themselves. And protection starts with your own home. So you can see how people, that's why, you know, the oils are very important. Even if you burn them in the house, they're contributing to the aroma and the protection aspect of your own home. So who is hypnotizing you? Millions of people are spent trying to control your mind through the medium of advertising. So basically through the power of shape and form, geometry, the power of aroma, to capture your mind and influence and surrender your power so that you become a passive person. You become passive. Oh yeah, I agree with their idea. But I'm suggesting that how can you harness the geometry in your own home, and so that you take back your life and create the one you've always desired. So this is a jigsaw puzzle. It's a jigsaw puzzle. How do you do this? How do you code your home so you're listening to your story, not the TV story or outside story, but your story? So how is this affecting you? Because this is tantamount to what's coming through us every day. People, places, spaces are affecting us all the time. And how does it affect you? So here are some of the space cleansing techniques that you can do. Now, I don't know how familiar people are in the audience about these, but we've got the sage cleansing. We've got obviously the bell ringing, the candles. Now, when I said before about going into a space, or if it's your own space and it doesn't feel right, or you going into a new home, you can put bowls of sea salt in and around your home, and you leave them there for 2 weeks. And what it does is it's draining out the water in the atmosphere. So if there's something hanging in the atmosphere, say that you've had a fight or an argument or conflict, or, you know, you've shouted out, you're angry, then just put some salt around for a couple of weeks, and that comes that will be drained out of the moisture. And then what you'll find is that the salt has all gone hard. Why? Because the moisture has been absorbed. And then you throw out the salt. You don't use it. And you just throw it out. Another one you can do is put vinegar and lemon. So lemon and vinegar are astringents on the atmosphere. So this is a way of cleansing. It could even be a corner, or maybe there's a part of your house.
It's 21 hours.
Sorry, that's my computer. There's a part of your house that just is not alive. So go and cleanse it this way. And it's passive. You don't have to do anything. You just put a bowl there with salt, put a bowl there with vinegar or lemon, squeeze it. The lemon vinegar you may have to change after a week because it starts to go moldy. But even you can even leave out a lemon, and the lemon will absorb all the toxins and impurities in the atmosphere. So you can get started on that. So there's many different cleansing procedures. I've used the sage stick, but one of my favorite, let me see if I've mentioned it on here. Okay, no, I didn't. So basically, one of them is this carbon. Anyone use the carbons? What they use in the Far East? So I use, it's like a carbon, and it's a little black round carbon, and you fire it up, put it on a pottery dish, and then you put little granules, resins of frankincense. And then you walk around the house with good intentions and you cleanse the space. You cleanse it. Then you have to, so the whole house will be smoky. So you have to take the carbon outside, because I wouldn't want anyone to have any problems, you know. It's not flames anyway, but it burns and it's very hot. And you leave the house, lock it up, go away for a couple of hours, come back. The smoke will still be, what it's doing is it's dispelling anything in the atmosphere. And you come back, you open up all the windows, and out all the debris goes, all the impurities, all the thoughts, all the unwanted chi, all the tears out. So when you do the space cleansing, your life has, especially if you're moving into another place, it's very, very important to space cleanse it, because you don't want to walk in and live out somebody else's patterns. Because what you're doing with space cleansing is you're disrupting the pattern. So if I said to everyone now, 1, 2, 3, what are you going to say? 4. Right, so that's a pattern, right? A, B, C. So we want to disrupt the patterns that are not serving you. And one way of doing that is disrupting what's there in the atmosphere. And space cleansing is one of them. So yeah, so basically, you don't want to move into somebody who lived in your property and their mindset was one of scarcity, or haven't got enough. You see, if I said to people, I want you to feel wealthy, it's not going to work. I have to put something out there that makes them feel wealthy. And then they see, yeah, even if it's golden chocolate drops, yeah, gold coins, gold chocolate coins, they see it. It's a form of wealth. It's symbolism. You've got to make space so that you can receive the wealth. You know, and I'm sure you've had lots of conversations in your group about when you're grateful for what you've got now, then you're making space. With gratitude comes acceptance. And when you accept what you've got, then you're making more space for new things to come in, wealth. So let me just go through these. So yeah, you can see the difference when you clear your clutter, but when you're space cleansing, you can feel the difference. So in a Feng Shui, this is about yin yang. I haven't really got time. That's a whole lesson on its own. let me just move on to, I'd like to just maybe impart with you the 5 elements so that it's not kind of alien to you. So remember I said the 5 elements. So you've got the fire, earth, metal, water, wood, and each element represents a feeling. It represents an energy. So what the aim is to bring, how do you bring a bit of each of those 5 elements into your space in order to create harmony, in order to create balance. And people think, oh, I want metal. I want lots of metal. That's where all the wealth is. But, you know, then you're off kilter. You're off kilter. And we can see, you know, with what's gone on in the world, the imbalances in people, you know, the imbalances. And a lot of the mental health issues is because people are not balanced. And we're not static people. We're moving all the time. So what's the word? We're processors all the time and processing things. So the ability to be resilient and the ability to go with the flow and to adapt allows this system to support you in wherever you are in the world. And so what does metal do? Metal is about, so how would metal be represented in your home? Anything that is metal, it could be a statue that's metal, it could be gold, silver, pewter, anything. Like I've got a few, I can't show you, but you can hear a bit of a chime, but they're like brass. So, okay, why would we put a bit of metal in? We want to put metal, and I'll give you a few tips now. If you know your compass points, into the south and northwest. Metal is the northwest area, and it's all about business and ideas and working with other people and helping you. So, for example, you might put up a picture with a metal frame, and in there you want people there who are going to help you in your business or help you with your ideas. What is it you want to grow? There's also a cycle to these elements, a cycle. So they're not static. So metal is about ideas. Now, if you want to accomplish anything in life, you have to have the idea. You have to have the metal. So metal represents the creativity, the idea. Then you have to water it. So you have to have a bit of water in your space. How do we know there's water? Well, colors of black, this color, blue, turquoise. So that could be also in a picture. So you've got flowing water. So the idea has to flow. And then when you're flowing your idea, you're growing your idea. So you need plants. Everyone needs some plants in their home. And I've been in businesses and they've done everything right and they've got no plants. Even having a big pot with plants in. Now, here's another little hint I'll give you. In your southeast or by your door or in your northwest, put a pot, a nice pot, this color, and leave it space. What you're saying there is that I am open to receiving. Because as people, we want to put things into things. We want to put things into boxes. We want to put things into plant pots, into spaces. So have a go at leaving one pot open and see what happens, with the intention of saying, thank you for what I have. I'm really grateful and I'm open to receiving. And as women, I think that women are very eager to push out and give to other people. And especially as therapists, if I've learned anything from being an occupational therapist and a complementary therapist as well, is that you have to have a balance. Where do you go beyond and you don't come back to yourself? You have to give to yourself here. And this system is brilliant for reminding you of that. So, you know, when you put your pot out there, it's like, I am here and I deserve to be given to as well. I am open to receiving. Positive things, by the way, not other people's rubbish. Okay, so and then you're going to grow that idea. So you need your plants, but it's not like simple as, oh, put my plant, you know, I'll put my plant in the pot and I'll just leave it. No, you've got to go over there and I've got to talk to these guys and I've got to water them and I've got to feed them. And I go, okay, are you okay? Is there anything you need? You know, and as you care for the plants, they are caring for you. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, it's a two-way system, of course. And obviously, if there's people in the house, you're looking after them, but you're coming back with a balance. And as you're growing your ideas. Now, this is where people fall down. So you've got your idea, your metal, and you're floating the idea. We say floating on the stock exchange, don't we? Floating the money on the stock exchange. Oh, the toilet's blocked. We all know what that means. Blocked plumbing means blocked proceeds, blocked financial flow. And I've seen that, and I've seen it in my own place many years ago as well. So, so you've got your idea, you're flowing it, you're growing it, and then you don't know how good your idea is until you take action. So everyone has to have a little bit of red, a little bit of fire. So how does that show up in your home? This is where you put it in the south. Put this in the south. Or if you don't really want to get into the compass tonight, that's fine. Just have something that's red, a nice red bow or a red pyramid, or I've got a plant here and it's got red flowers on it, like leaves. I don't know the name of it, but and it keeps on growing and growing. And it's a reminder, I'm in my office area, take action, take action. Now, why do any of us do anything? Why do we all come up with ideas that are creative and we float them and we grow them and we do all this? Because we want a result. So Earth is the receptor. We want to see, and in the earth we find the diamonds and the gold and the fossils and the precious stones. But what we're doing is we're earthing the alchemy that has occurred in the fire element. That's from here, metal to fire, there's an alchemical process going on. And that's what your space is. Everyone's got a space, even if it's a caravan, even if it's one room. I've lived out of one room in a hospital in India, and I made that room my friend. You know, so you can put up reminders, codes all throughout your house of these 5 elements. So you can see if there's a cycle, but you want to put up you want to have a bit of metal. So it could be white flowers, you know, water could be a picture with water in it, wood, plants, or pictures of plants if you're no good at looking after them. Red, it could be a candle, and it could be red cloth. You can be as creative as you want with it, because there's no one going to be legislating in your home. And then finally, something ceramic, something that's earth. It could be an earth pot. It could be a terracotta sculpture. It could be something yellow, and anything that's crystal. These two, they all support each other. And having a little bit of each creates the balance and the harmony within yourself and within your environment. Now, it's you know, I am explaining an ancient concept here, and I don't want people to get too lost if I start talking about bagwas, but the bagua is about compass. And sometimes when I mention the word compass, people go, no, I don't know which. But you know what? It's very easy. Which side does the east? Which side does the sun come up in the morning? And which side does it go down in the west? And then you've got north and south. And that's as simple as that. And basically, the metal area is the northwest and west. The earth is the southwest and is the center, actually, because the earth is the most strongest of them all, because the earth contains it all. And then you've got the south, you've got the southeast, east and the east, and the north and northeast. So 5 element balance. It's very basic, it's very intuitive, because it all belongs to nature. If things aren't going well in our outer life, it's because things aren't going well in your inner life. It's as simple as that. And that was T. Harv Eker. And it reminded me when he was teaching that the tree has all the 5 elements. You need the water to grow the tree. You need the elements like copper, zinc in the earth to drink up into the tree to make it produce its fruits. And you need the sun for the energy. So there's the 5 elements. They're all working in balance. And because they're working in balance, they produce fruits. And this is what Feng Shui is about. What fruits do you want to produce in your life? And one way of doing that is by getting this balance, because some of us are very good at focusing on work, but we miss other areas of our life. We miss love, we miss finances, we miss health. You know, how many people I've seen who've worked so much and then they've let their health go, and they're actually in the health industry. Just take a look on any given day in the hospital, go to the canteen, you see what the doctors are eating, the physios are eating, and they don't take care of themselves. So it's about a balance. I think I've just said this now. So there's the cycle. Ideas, float them, grow them, take action, receive them. So we were talking about wealth, right? And the tips I'm going to give you tonight are: nature is repeatedly abundant. It will always turn up with abundance. And you are part of nature. You are abundant. And that's why it's important to have any pictures or any vibes to do with water. Now, you may think, oh, these are lovely pictures. I don't think I can make it bigger. But, oh, these are lovely pictures. I've taken these pictures all over the world. Lovely examples of, you know, the Alhambra and the Australian Darling Harbour and Canada. This is Kashmir. But what's that washing machine doing there? Don't you think it's a bit out of place? Well, it is. But this is what it all comes back to. All these pictures are flowing. And that's what you need for your wealth. You have to have a flow. And I come across, I'll give you examples of people, one quite near to home, who left the water in their washing machine for 1 year because they couldn't be bothered dealing with the problem. So what they did is they took it down the road to their ex, who did the washing for them. And what I started to realize was that they were enjoying their victimhood. And how many times do we say, what's that expression? Well, we've got many expressions about laundry, but, you know, washing your own problems, you know, it's like taking your dirty laundry, that's it. Talk about taking your dirty laundry for somebody else to look after. So this person didn't want to look at their own laundry. He was quite happy to take it to somebody else. But this person was a professional and they never had any money. They had their plumbing wasn't working. So what they did, instead of fixing the basin, they started brushing their teeth in the bath, you know, and it's like it's an evasion, not wanting to deal with the problem. And so how many of us have had gutters that are leaking, taps that are dripping, floods, all kinds of things, even in the toilet, drip, drip, drip. You know, these are things that of themselves, maybe not, you know, they're not dire, they're not alarming, but the energy of it is about water, which is to do with wealth, is dripping away. Now, you may say, this lady's balmy, what are you talking about, water to do with wealth? You look and go to any country or any of the restaurants in this country, the Thai restaurants, Indonesian, Arabic, they will all, Chinese, they will all have a fish tank in them, or they will have a fountain. And that's because the age-old wisdom, they realize that they need the water near the till to bring the money in. And sometimes they'll put a mirror behind the till to duplicate the wealth. So mirrors are another one. You can use mirrors. Little tip, everyone lives differently. If you've got the wherever your oven is, even if it's not gas, it doesn't matter, but have a mirror opposite the oven so that you can duplicate, or a mirror opposite the dining table where you eat from. Because traditionally, when you're duplicating the food on the table, sorry, something's just going through my mind, which is contemporary. I'll come back to it in a minute, is that you were wealthy. If you had rice on the table, you were a wealthy person. And if you're duplicating the food on your table, that's double the amount of wealth. And I'm hearing about the impending shortages of food in other parts of the world. And I never thought I would say this, but, you know, it could come to pass that, you know, people, what we all took for granted, you know, may be a rarity if things carry on the way they are. So what I'm saying is, have a mirror duplicating your, either your oven, because your oven is cooking your food. And when I say oven, I mean the stove. And or a mirror duplicating the fruit bowl, if you've got a fruit bowl, or a mirror duplicating the table. So that, or if you don't want a mirror by the table, put up a picture of people, like, you know, the Renoir pictures where everyone's around the table and they're all eating and they're having fun. So eating is equated with fun. It's got so many connotations now, particularly in our culture, what food means. And if people are eating on their own, put that big picture up. You're not eating on your own. You've got a big family there, got people around you on the picture. Okay, it's symbolic. But you know what? Everything's an illusion anyway. So you make the best illusion for you, whatever it takes. So I wanted us to talk about the wealth and the water. If you've got dripping taps, just get them sorted immediately. And you will see a huge difference to the energy in your house. And these pictures, it's better that the water is moving. So they've all got like a fountain of some kind. And all these areas that I've taken photographs, they're all lucrative areas. People travel miles to see this. The famous Persian gardens. Well, they can't because no one can get into that country at the moment. That was taken in 1992. So, you know, that's the importance of the association of the water element and the wood element with wealth. So if you've got plants and they're dying, then there's something dying in you because you haven't looked after it. And when you're looking after your plants, you are actually looking after yourself. And most of the problems in the world are people refusing to take care of themselves, you know, besides other things out of their control, you know. So, oh, that's just an example. This is I think this is the Alhambra. But why I took this was because it's got all the 5 elements in it. It's got the water, it's got the wood, it's got the red flowers. So that's fire, water, wood. White is metal, but arches are also considered metal because someone designed them, someone created them. And then you've got the earth, which is the terracotta pots underneath. You can't see them here. So and that's why when people look at something like this, they feel, oh, that's really nice. It brings something out inside of them. It creates a shift of energy within them. That's why people do love the gardens, because it's inspirational and it's harmonious and it's balancing. And you can do that for your own home. So that's clearer vision of the wealth. Yeah, the other thing is people can say, oh yeah, I want wealth, but what does that mean? What does that mean? You know, I say your health is your wealth. And the more you look after yourself health-wise and really affirm you've got great health, then you're already wealthy. Believe me, I've seen people who are wealthy monetary and they're poor on the inside because they've gone out and got the wealth on the outside, but they haven't gone and got the wealth on the inside. It's all there, but they haven't kind of, you know, gone into the inner feng shui. So yeah, think about how you can bring those 5 elements into your home. And every person will be individual. So this is an opportunity now to shift your ideas, float them, grow them, and put them into action and see what you get. And that cycle I showed you, you could use that for any idea as an entrepreneur. Or if you wanted to change a business in any way, then you say, right, what's the idea? Then I need to float it. Well, how would you float it? Maybe I'll talk to Karen or talk to a few people. What do you think? Then once you've got the go ahead, it becomes more clear. Then you start to grow it. You put seeds down. You do talks. See, how is it affecting people? How is it influencing people? And you're taking action. You put books out, you put courses out, you tell people because you're taking action. And then the reason why I'm doing Feng Shui is I know how it impacted my life. But when I teach it, I know it's going to impact so many other people's lives. So it's rippling out. It's not just about me having a nice space. It's teaching and showing everybody how they too can be the captain of their own environment. So this is the Bagua now, and I don't know if this will, let me just see if the Bagua comes up. So that's the compass. So that's what I know it looks complicated, but we're talking about 4,000 years of history. You can see the elements. So it's the south. This is the fire element. This is the, oh, sorry, just to say, it's still, the compass points are still magnetically the same. The only reason why you can turn it round, the only reason why I put south at the top is that the Chinese always paid homage to the south, but it's still magnetically the same. It's not like we're not saying the south is this, is north. I've just designed it this way because they paid homage. This is still north. The north is to do with water and it's to do with your career and your journey in life. Where do you want to take it? So in the north, find where the north is, and you will put something here, a picture which says, this is where I want to flow to. And so how would you know what to put in your home? Well, I would have done a vision board prior to this. So you know already what you want. You're not going to come to this and go, oh, I'm not sure because you already know 90% of all of this is knowing what you want. How do you find out what you really want? And one of the ways is doing that vision board exercise. Then once you've done that, you superimpose what you discovered for yourself on your vision board onto your own home. And then, you know, if I want to put something that's a water in the north, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a picture? Is it going to be a fountain? Well, your north might be your kitchen, so you don't want a fountain in your kitchen. So it'll be different for everybody. You could just do this just on your room, just do it in one room. So it could be an ornament, but you don't want to put lots of clutter in neither. So you want to keep it very simple. It could be just a blue cloth. So when you see the aqua blue or the black cloth, it reminds you that you want to flow. Where is it you want to flow to? Likewise, in the south. Well, let me know. No, I won't do the south. Let me do the northwest. This is, remember I told you about big metal? Well, this is the yang metal. This is the creative, helpful people and your ideas. This is the area where you would put something up. Metal. This is the west, and this is the soft metal. It's yin. This is the yang. Yang metal is all those stockbrokers. Yeah, that's how they operate. But you have to have something yang inside of you to make a business work. But you also need something yin to allow something to come in. So here you would put, this is all about yin metal. This is about, like I said before, receiving. So you receiving all the good things and having a good time in your life. So I'd have to go through all of these. I just want to cover a few of them because I think it might be a bit overpowering to just to say everything. This one here, the southwest, is the love. So this is your love area. So you might want to put something pink or red or aubergine or yellowy crimson in there. This is where you'd put a photo of somebody that you're with or you want to be with, or you could even put two pots there. So one pot is you're open to receiving, and the other pot is the person that you want to come into your life. So it's your use of symbology, but knowing where to put it and what color it should be. And so we've done the love bit, we've done the wealth bit and the ideas. And then most important is the health. So the health encompasses the east. And this should be where you can put your plants, but you can put a beautiful photo, pictures of nature. Or if you want to learn something that impacts your health, like, you know, like I've got my yoga stuff and my little dumbbell in my east, tipping into the northeast. So that's where I do my exercise, but it doesn't have to be that. That's what it is for me. But this is the health area, the east. And for many, depending on where they are, this is where the sun comes up. So it'd be a nice place to also maybe meditate. The northeast is also about your inner self. So this is an earth element, but it's a different kind of earth element from the southwest. The southwest is an earth element of connection. The southeast is an earth element of inner reflection. And they all relate to each other. So when you reflect on the inside, you often can align yourself and attract the right person on the outside. When you attend to your health in the east, you start to treat yourself better and enjoy all the work that you've done. This is about enjoyment. And the wealth area, these two, this is the career area, water element. And this is where are you flowing to in your life? Where are you flowing? And the south is about what were your achievements? So when you have something that's lit up like a fire, you're bringing attention to what you've achieved. These are your trophies. I call this is my Oscar moment. What did I do in all of this? And now it's showing up as a trophy. What have you achieved? And just finally, this is your where you're going. It is a water element, but this is the wood and water element. And this is your wealth. It's good fortune, which encompasses wealth. So you can have a bit of green, bit of burgundy, blue, but you're going into the red. But you don't have to be too Virgoing about it, you know. You don't have to, people start building up bridges. I go, no, just make it a theme. Make it a theme. So I think I'm going to leave it there and ask if there's any questions because I don't want to, I think I've given a lot of information and knowledge, and I think there might be some questions around implementation or anything you want to ask.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Okay. Do you want to stop sharing your slides?
Yeah.
So that would be great. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Cathi. That was amazing. There's so much more to Feng Shui than I ever realized. And working in the EFT and energy world, it sort of makes a lot of sense, you know, the inner Feng Shui. And, you know, I always look at how energies affect people. So it makes a whole lot of sense, everything you said. So thank you so much. You gave us so much content. I've written so much down.
Yeah.
So I'll open the floor up to other people who ask questions.
Yeah, ask anything.
Okay, so anyone got any questions? I'm sure you must have. There's so much there. Oh, Lorraine, yeah, do you want to unmute yourself?
Thank you. I had a question because you touched on cleansing spaces, and my favorite thing has always been to sage. But I recently came across an article that was saying that people kind of forget that, like, when you're saging or cleansing a space, you're not just necessarily taking away negative energy, you're also taking away the positive. So my question really is, like, if you're using sage to cleanse a space, how then can you bring back the positive energy when you've cleared a space out?
Well, what you're trying to do is you're just neutralizing the space. You're
Right.
neutralizing it. It's not like, well, this little bit is a negative and this bit is a positive. No, you're neutralizing it. And so so for example, if you're going into a new place and you don't know who live there, and even if you did, it doesn't matter, because you never know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't want to walk into those patterns and start living them. So what you do is you would cleanse that space. Now, energy doesn't park itself like, oh, I'm the good guys and I'm the bad guys. Everything is together. But when you cleanse it, you are neutralizing it, and then you've still got your good energy to make your mark on it.
Right. Okay.
The prime reason you're cleansing it is to change, to shift the energy. It's not always got to be negative, but if something happens, like an argument, that expression, you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. And that is true. So you'd want to kind of neutralize it with the sage or the cleansing, and then let it out through the window. Now, it's not like, oh, there goes all my gold, my emerald energy, because surely you have the whole idea of space cleansing is to bring even better energy into that space.
All right. Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Suzanne.
Just going to add to that, in the clinic sometimes you can end up with a theme of similar things that come in with clients, similar issues, and sometimes it could be something that I'm also reflecting that I need to shift. So I often cleanse the clinic to neutralize the space so that it gives room for something else to shift and come into play, rather than the same programs playing out again and again and again.
That's right. Yeah, that's
that
right.
works really well sometimes.
Yeah, I've used that in the Airbnb. I always cleanse it from the previous people.
Yeah.
Not because there was anything wrong with them. No, it's so that for the next people, they're going to have a different experience. And that's what I saw, people having different experiences. Each time they came, they were different, but they experienced the place differently. So, yeah, and I think there's patterns everywhere. I think when you're very close up to something, you can't see those patterns. It's only when you really, imagine when you've gone away for a holiday and then you come back to your house and you think, do I live here? Is this really my space? Because the energy's really kind of gone down, because there's been no one's lived in it.
Yeah, my house is really old and I have to space clear. And when it's stuff that I can't manage, then I ask Cherry.
Yeah.
Space clear us.
Yeah.
There are different, obviously, types of space clearing. So yeah, that makes a lot of difference. Thank you.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can do it as well.
Okay. Pam, you had your hand up.
Yeah, going back to, you mentioned floods.
Oh yeah.
When my son had his first home on his own, within 6 months he had a flood, such a bad flood that he had to move out for a while, and it was all humidified and what have you. Then our daughter, who's 6 years younger than him, she got her first home a couple of years ago, and below me she had a flood. In fact, within the second week of living there. What does that all mean?
Can I ask, what happened to their finances during that, before, during, and after?
Well, that's interesting, because we bought them their first properties.
Yeah.
So there's obviously there's a message for us there, I think, as much as anything. But
Did they lose any money?
No, because insurance
No, I
recompense.
don't mean that. Did they lose any money prior to the flood? Any of their own personal money?
No.
And did your daughter?
Nope.
No. So did they have jobs?
Yes.
They were earning money, and it was coming in.
My son had a job, but it wasn't very lucrative. He was trying to become a music producer, so he was following his dream, but it wasn't bringing any money in, really.
Yeah. And the daughter?
Similar, actually. She was trying to start a little business of her own, and it wasn't. It is now, but at the time it wasn't really bringing any. Wasn't.
I mean, these things. I also had a flood many years ago. It wasn't my fault. No, I didn't do anything. But at the time, I lost a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. Nothing to do with money on that house, but something else. And it was the same. It was like weeks later. And I got insurance, and we went through all that, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes, like your son and your daughter were trying to be creative, and when you're trying to be creative, the money doesn't always come in at that time. It takes a while to be established. So maybe they were just starting off something, but also, if it happened to both of them and you've provided them the money, it's a wake-up call in many ways, not for you, because you're now without that money. I know it's your kids, but you're now without that money. But more importantly to them, that they've just received somebody else's money. And it's a wake-up call to say, this is money. And it doesn't come easily, You can make up the perception of that whatever way you want, but whenever that happens, there is some kind of message there. I can't emphasize it enough. Whenever something, whether a fire happens, if there's a storm and the whole roof caves in, there's something. I don't mean just physically something's happened, but psychologically what's going on and what's the symbol. And I never see it as, oh no, that's negativity. No, it's a wake-up call to say, what do I need to look at? Is there something that I have missed? And I had missed it. The reason why it happened as well is I had somebody in there renting it who completely abused the place, completely abused it. So that was me not looking after who was in the property. I actually felt sorry for him. And his tale is that he had no money. He was living in his taxi. He was a taxi driver. He was living in his taxi. Why? Because he had no money. Even though he was working like Billy-O, he had no money. Why? I'll tell you why. Because his mother had died 10 years ago. He'd taken all the furniture out of the house and put it into storage. And he paid 25 grand over the 10 years. And that's where his money was going. Stored up memories, stored up pain, going nowhere. No house, nowhere to live. And I mean, this property is in a high-end place. So I it's like that whole thing I was saying before about balance, and you're all therapists. It's like, at what point do we care? And at what point do we step back and say, no, this is dangerous for me, my own space. And I let somebody into the property, and he wasn't responsible for the flood, but it was already quite abused before the flood happened. So it's a wake-up call. So whatever was going on in their lives, it would be a wake-up call for them, and it would have disturbed them in whatever flow. Like if he was going to be a producer or a job, it would have disturbed that, because you have to move out. I moved out for 6 months and lived in a hotel. And it's not all bad, because as a result of moving out of there, I started doing, this was 2014, I started doing online teaching. So so I was doing online teaching as a result, because I didn't want to go in to work as an OT, because it was too mentally charging. You know, you couldn't be out of home and be looking after other people. So there will be good sides of it if they have the aptitude to be able to see, what's this taught me and what's the thing it's given me, so that I can flow through this and be resilient and come back to it in wherever 6 months or 3 months time. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's an interesting angle to look at it. Yeah, yeah.
It is, because then you're
coincidence, but you know, I hadn't really worked out what the message was. Yeah,
and same for the daughter. It'll be something, maybe they discovered something during that time, during that process.
She was learning to be a yoga teacher, and she had her flood. And actually, she finished her course, but she's now doing something completely different, which she's really enjoying, and her life has changed. So, you know, it was meant to interrupt her.
Yeah, it's a pattern interrupt, isn't it? It's a pattern interrupt. Like they use that in, I don't know if you've heard of clean language.
No.
That, Karen, clean language, where the words that you're using, where are those words coming from? I'm not an expert in it at all. I'm not even that knowledgeable about it, but I get it that, you know, our language that we express ourselves in has a pattern as well. And in the same way, our space has a pattern. So what's the pattern of what we're saying? Because we may not be totally aware of not just what we're saying, but how we're saying it. And the same for the patterns all around us. What are those patterns saying about our life? And can we change them? Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions? Fina? You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, Cathi. That was amazing. Really, really interesting.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm really interested in. I have been for a while. But my question is around, well, there's two things, but like decluttering. I mean, I'm always decluttering. In fact, recently I got rid of, I was made redundant a couple of years ago, and I got rid of all my journals, papers, everything.
Yeah.
For some key ones, but I got rid of 20 boxes of stuff that I brought back from my office, and I just cleared it last summer.
Yeah. Oh, great.
So I've been doing so much decluttering. It's unbelievable.
How do you feel because of that?
I feel better, but I've got a lot more to do. Actually, my husband's got double than I have.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, I have kept certain things like birthday cards, like children's paintings or little notes or, you know, things like that. And I was wondering, you know, how, I mean, I wasn't sure whether to get rid of them or not, but they are sentimental. So do I get rid of them? You know, I am attached to them a little bit, but slowly I'm doing like the first run and then the second run and getting rid of things and trying to be detached from those sort of things. But one of the things is that recently I've put lots of stuff in the loft because I'm going to get my bedroom decorated.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, you know what, I can store some of my stuff in the loft. And then all of a sudden in my head, I thought, that feels like something's down on me energy wise. But I'm not an expert in it. So I just wanted to ask you, can you put things in the loft? And also divan beds, you know, we store things in divan beds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And recently, again, I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't have a divan bed. Maybe it should be, I don't know, one with just like a 4-poster or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Trying to make lots of changes in my home to account for Feng Shui, something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, people do have lofts, and lofts are there to put all your secrets in, really. So the loft represents the mind. So you've got a lot of junk up there. It is symbolically kind of filling your head.
What if it isn't junk? What if it's because I want a clear bedroom, just a couple of wardrobes, and then all the other things like additional saris and things that I wear, I would.
Well, that's storage, isn't it? That's storage.
Okay, so is that okay?
That's like you're going to work, to where you're going to go back up and you're going to be able to, there's going to be movement there.
Yeah.
But when people store it and it's there for years, I've got a friend down in Somerset and she's just, the loft is, and you think she knows what I do, but I think people get really scared when they know I'm coming, you know, like start kind of clearing out. She's got one room in the southeast of financial and it's jam-packed. And she's, you know, she's stuck in a job. She can't flow past it. It's really blocked her creativity. I've told her 3 years ago, and I don't say anything anymore because unless that person is aware, there's nothing you can do. And you all know that as therapists. You can do it. I mean, I just got this place. I renovated this place a year ago. So she can see how it works. Then it's reflected back to her. So she's got stuff up in the loft and she is very heady, you know, she's got loads of great ideas, but they begin, but they don't end. Yeah.
I mean, I actually do space clearing up there as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Frankincense, you know, incense sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I take those around the house.
Great.
But what about under the bed? So
no, you don't want anything under the bed. You don't want anything under the bed or around the bed or being held in the bed because that affects the quality of sleep. So the bedroom is really, really important because of, you know, how you sleep. You know, insomnia is such a huge issue all around the world. Obviously, the tech has contributed towards that. So you're not putting computers or phones in your bedroom. I've done it once.
Does it matter which way? Sorry, does it matter which way you face?
We don't want to be facing, definitely don't be facing the door. That's a common one in the Chinese Feng Shui.
Yeah.
Because they say that's the coffin direction. But most people don't anyway. Most people don't.
No.
You know, and, you know, I see a lot of people with TVs there and mirrors and I'm like, oh my God, this is the energetic junkie, you know, because, you know, the mirrors are sparking off the TV and and anything else that's in the room. And it's like, you know, it's like that. So you're trying to sleep and the energy is like that with mirrors or TV.
I think I must have been waiting because we cleared our bedroom 18 months ago and then lockdown happened. So I must have been waiting for this to then now go and decorate my bedroom in the right way. So this is
do. And also the cellar, people have cellars. The cellars, when you go into a cellar deep down or a basement, they represent your deepest fears. They're your fears. And it's true, when you go down to a cellar, you're very unsure and, you know, you don't want to be there for some reason because it's underground. That's why I lived in Brighton for a short time and I lived by the sea, opposite the sea, in a basement. Never again. Never again. It's almost like you are living underground. The energy is very, very dead, I would say. You know, so yeah, there's so many, but if you can just kind of take away tonight, if you have any leaks, get rid, just because think of your wealth. Think of your health in terms of your plants and decluttering and space cleansing. That will take care of your health and your wealth. And then the love aspect, if you've got too much in the bedroom, whether you're with somebody or not with somebody, there's no space to bring somebody in. You may not want to bring somebody in, but you are having a relationship with yourself. We all have relationships with ourselves. So you want it to feel supportive, secure, loving, and like in the womb kind of feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and that doesn't stop you from having all kinds of colors. You don't have to have red or pink or, yeah. You can bring in different colors through the bed covers or the rugs. I'm very much, I've got a lot of Indian, Moroccan, Native American stuff because of the colors and because of the geometry. So, that makes me feel that I could be anywhere in the world. So that's my thinking, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question for
Yeah.
Caroline?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Go. She said, what can I do if my bed faces the wrong direction and the bedroom door opens directly facing the bed? She can't rearrange the furniture. Is there any tips or hints to negate any negative energy?
Why can't you change the bed round?
Because of how our room's situated. There's no way of changing it. So it's facing the wrong way apparently, and the bedroom door opens directly facing the bed.
Yeah. Can she not turn it round in 90 degrees?
Not sure. She's not here, so I can't.
Yeah.
Well,
she can contact me.
Okay.
She can contact me. But
right.
yeah, that's not a good position. Because basically it's like we talk about protection. Someone opens the door, they're standing right in front of you.
My bed faces the door, but the door's over to the right.
Yeah, that's different. That's
Okay.
different. Yeah.
Directly
I'm saying the edge of the bed is directly where the door leads out.
Yeah.
So she knows. She obviously knows that that's not the right bit. And can she change rooms?
Yeah.
Without seeing it, it's very difficult to. Can she do it diagonally? Offset it. Can she offset it a bit?
Yeah. Play with it a little bit.
So everyone's space and home is as different as all the individuals are different.
I guess you could have a screen of some sort. Maybe. Curtain.
She'd have to go through the door and the curtain.
Yeah.
Everyone's living quarters is under different arrangements as well.
Yeah.
People are sharing their house with other people. So they're limited to what they can change.
Yeah.
But I've done consultations in people just in one room.
Yeah, I mean, my bedroom's got a beam that goes right the way through the middle of my bed.
Oh, really? Okay. Can you move that to one side? Can you move the bed away from that?
Well, we've got a chimney stack and windows at either side, so it's...
Either way you go, you've got the beam over you.
Yeah. And if you turn the bed round, the beam cuts straight the other way.
Yeah. So, what they say about beams is that if there's anything that you could actually put along the beam to suggest that it's upward movement.
Well, I've got interestingly, I've got a love heart hanging from it.
Oh, right, okay. Well, love does elevate, doesn't it?
It's all red kind of crystals in a really swirly pattern. So that was just purely, it looked nice. I put it up there, not for any Feng Shui.
But that's not a big beam. That's not like I don't sleep in this room.
I mean, it does go right the way across, but it is,
okay.
It's an old house, a wooden.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was in Stratford upon Avon and Leamington Spa last week, and I was going by and I thought, I bet they're a nightmare in there. All the what's it, stated 2 buildings, class 2 buildings, beautiful architecture, but you know, what's in them and who's been there. I mean, this country, we've had these houses are built for 100, even the terraced houses now, they've been around for 100, 200, 300, 400. Think of the patterns in there.
My house is 300 years old.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been busy, and Cherry's had to help.
22 hours. Sorry, it's my clock.
So yeah, there's been quite a lot of activity, and we did a lot of space clearing.
Yeah, you would need to. Yeah, you would need to.
And then interestingly, when we took a chimney stack out and then we added doors and blocked other ones up, the house had a complete hissy fit almost.
I agree.
That was going on. So we almost had to make friends with our house again.
Yeah. You have to put some gifts to the space, you know, because that is a big rift. It's a big change, isn't it?
Yeah. And one of the the watchers of the house was cross. Had a reading done of the house, and there was somebody who was like the watcher of the road. And he was a bit confused about what we'd done in our home.
All right.
So yeah, we've had all sorts of shenanigans going.
Yeah, because they're all connected, aren't they? The houses.
Yeah.
You know, we see walls, but they don't.
Oh, exactly. You know?
Although I don't ever really go into the ghost territory because I never want to scare people, and you know.
But that's Cherry's department.
I mean, I bought a house in Canada in 2007. I only had it for 2 years. It had 6 bedrooms. It was huge. It was something like House of Anne of Green Gables, you know. And I wasn't in it long enough even to get furniture, but it only had one owner. It had over 1 million bricks that had been made in the area and 47 windows. And it had a 1950 style kitchen. And I was staying there on my own. I look back and I think, how did I do that? But when you went to, it had 3 reception rooms. I don't know if anyone knows what this is, but it had a tin roof, or a tin, it's like geometrically designed, beautiful. It's a form of, they put the ceilings, tin ceiling, which was like with absolutely amazing geometry, all done with tin and then covered over in white. Beautiful. I'd never seen anything like it. And then you went upstairs, big landing. It was something like House of, Gone with the Wind. You went down that staircase. But overnight, you looked down the corridor and you saw these rooms. And I was in the front room. And honestly, it was like something out of The Shining. It was like something out of The Shining. And I'm thinking, what have I bought? You know, this is like The Shining. It's like Gone with the Wind. It's like, and
not that bad. It's a 3-bedroom cottage.
Well, I had to space cleanse it for a week. It took me a week, and everybody in the area, they said, you will never sell that house ever again, because it was one of those like backwater places where they had all these beautiful wooden houses, and they were pretty cheap. And I think a few Brits had gone over there who could do online. They were nomadic. I hadn't got to that stage. And I went over to create a retreat, but all the people saying, "Oh, you'll never sell that," and I did something, and it was, well, I didn't decide to sell it till after 1.5 years, and it took 6 months, and I sold it. But I still think about it as mine, and I've been back since to see it. So houses have stories, don't they? And they tell tales of the people that have been in there and how it affects us. And that's why I always ask who lived here before, get an idea of what happened to them, and
all sorts went on here. That Jake, my son, because he sees and hears not as much now, but he used to see it.
Oh, wow.
That was a bit scary for him, so had not much help over the years with different stuff that's kind of gone on.
Right.
Types of space clearing and sorts, but the house chose us. Yeah.
Places do. That's right. Yeah.
We came in, it was like, this is home and we're here for a reason, but it's busy if we don't keep it clear.
Well, I think if you have a relationship with the house, when we played the family house over in Liverpool, 2007, 2003, I was just doing it on my own. And I was having to let go of everything. It was very painful. I know exactly what it's like. But when it was all cleared, I then, I've always had an affinity with the native Indian, and I ended up doing research in community radio with them in British Columbia. And I said, I did a little kind of ritual with the native Indian music and the incense. And I said goodbye to the house. And I thanked it for looking after us all, because we didn't have any tragedy. My mum did die, but, you know, it was part of what was happening, you know. But other than that, there was 4 of us that grew up in there, and we were all looked after, and we all were healthy, and we got great opportunities. And so, you know, I thanked it and was grateful for it. And I do that to all. I'm a nomad, so all the places I go in and out of, I just thank it for what it's given me. And I think that reaps a lot of rewards, you know. So,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks everybody for attending. Really appreciate it. If you've got any questions, you can leave them in the group anyway, and I'll answer them. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you, Cathi.
Thank you so much.
Been brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm sure we've all learnt an awful lot.
Thank
I know
you very
I
much.
definitely. So
Lovely.
thank you everyone for
Take
coming.
care of your health and your wealth and your love.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Look
everyone.
at our details in
Bye.
the group. So any questions, just pop them in there.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
That was
Cathi.
brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Really good.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, here's all the chats I didn't read.
That's a recording.
Oh yeah, I need to finish.
You know, I can't